everybody, welcome to Spill the Novelty, where three girlies shout into the void about our latest book hot takes and obsessions. I'm Abby.
I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kaylee.
And this week we're spilling the tea about Funny Story by Emily Henry. So if you're an Emily Henry stan or you're just wanting to dip your toes into the growingly vast Emily Henry world, here's the tea.
Okay, so let's start with some characters. So Daphne is a 30-something, I think she's like 34 or something, 30-something-year-old woman, and she loves books, surprisingly, and she's a librarian. And she makes really weird noises when she eats, and she says chortle constantly. Not really much else to say about Daphne. I thought she was fine. She wasn't funny. She wasn't really original in any way. You're laughing. It's making me laugh.
No, we're already. No, we agree.
We agree.
And the narrator of the audiobook was like super monotone. I don't know if you guys listen to the audiobook, but like super monotone. And so that's how I imagine Daphne. Like that is Daphne in my head. So
I think it works because I think we had texted about this a little bit too, just as a side note. Like I think because this is your second Emily Henry, right, Kaylee? And for context, for anyone listening, me and Maddie have read like a couple other Emily Henrys. So I've listened to the audiobook for a few, and I think it's the same narrator. So the thing that's ironic here is like it was very monotone, but this was actually the time where I think it worked because I think that is actually
appropriate.
Daphne, so unfortunately appropriate, yes.
Yeah, I did listen to the audiobook. I listened to it. I'm not a 3-time speed audiobook person. I listen to the audiobook on 1-time speed to truly enjoy and savor the moment. I listened to this book on 1-time speed for about, I don't know, 20 minutes. And then I was like, I can't live like this. So I don't even remember what the narrator actually sounded like because Homegirl was going at 2.5 times speed for like 90% of the book for me. So she was like...
Which I thought my like 1.6, 1.7 speed was fast, but 2.5 is like, that is wild. I don't know how you do that.
I don't usually, I worked my way up there, but it was like, I can't sit through 11 hours of listening to Daphne make like the most cringe, like millennial coded commentary I've ever heard in my life. Like it was too much for me, bro. Like she was predictable. She was fine. I felt like she was too much like every other Emily Henry main character we've ever had. She's so tortured because she's not like other girls, but also she's like the hottest woman alive and every guy wants her and like it's that whole thing. I'm just so sick of like the edgy girl next door sort of trope that we keep getting in like every single book in every single genre. Like it just feels like no one is making someone new, and it really gives me the ick to like villainize like more traditionally feminine women. Like I'm a girl's girl, so I love a girly girl, gets her nails done, her face is beat, her hair's done. Like I don't think we should be framing those women as the enemy just because I'm very not like that and I'm very bookish and you know whatever. Like we are not diametrically opposed. Like can we simply fight the men?
Right. Simply
focus on the villainy.
And like yeah, we must regain focus, ladies. We must zero in, okay? And I think too, like to that point, I remember not to jump ahead to talk about Petra, but just through the lens of talking about Daphne, like you know, Daphne is very like calculated and like intentional, and again, like yeah, I'm a grandmother at the ripe age of 25. Like I hear that. But I love a more chill girly, and you know, and I think Petra is like more free spirited, which like yeah, maybe her miles don't work out and make sense, but that doesn't make Petra bad. It just means that her and Miles maybe they don't work, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, retweet. I just was like mid about Daphne. I was kind of like, okay,
super
we're
mid.
here.
She really fully launched me over the edge where, spoilers, there's at one point where Daphne talks about a wedding dress and she literally wastes my time to tell me that she was so excited about this wedding dress because it had pockets.
Yeah.
My girl, why?
She wants to be like a quirky kind of girl. Yeah.
Like, you're getting your dialogue from, like, 2011 Facebook memes. Like, please.
Yeah. But also, importantly, not only was she excited about the pockets, but that was after telling us a long time about, like, how she didn't really want, like, a wedding dress. Like, you know, like, she didn't want, like, a traditional wedding dress, but as soon as she found one that was looking old and had pockets, like, okay, fine, you know.
Well, femininity is bad, Abby. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
You know, like, we can't be womanly women. Like, we have to be different.
Yeah.
Blech.
Yeah.
Blech.
Nah.
Yeah,
not here for it. Not the worst MC, but just there.
She was at least sensible. Like, she had a brain. She didn't make, like, decisions for no reason. She thought critically about some things. But
she didn't overreact about things, which was good.
Yeah.
And she's kind of self-aware. Like, she was like, I'm so boring. And we're like, yeah, girl, you are.
True,
true. Yeah.
I did really like...
At least she knows.
Yeah, I liked her wee arc, which I think we'll get into later on. But I really liked that arc, and I kind of wish that had been more of a focus in the beginning of the book for her, because I feel like that was the most interesting thing about Daphne, is kind of like that little character arc. But that character arc was basically only in Act 3. Like, it wasn't in the first or second acts at all, so... Anywho, one thing that Daphne does think critically about all the time, 24/7, is the funny story, which is that Daphne gets dumped by her fiance Peter for another woman named Petra.
Shocking.
And Petra and Peter have been best friends since they were young, and Daphne was like super chill about them being best friends and like not worried about it. And she's paid the price for this because in the bachelor party they sleep together and whatever. And the bit is Petra was also engaged to Miles, and basically the TLDR is that like Miles is our main male character, but Peter and Petra are the enemies and the villains of the story. They're supposed to suck. We're supposed to hate them. They're honestly barely in the book. They're mainly just like these names that get dropped to torment our two main characters. And I think Peter definitely sucks. Like, we get some ending scenes in the book where he really kind of shows his true colors. But I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get more from Petra. And I didn't necessarily want her to suck. I kind of wanted her to not be villainized anymore and, like, reveal some, like, humanness to Daphne, so that Daphne could maybe start seeing Petra as a person who just, like, made a mistake or, you know, got taken up by her feelings or isn't perfect all the time and isn't like this like female fantasy that Daphne thinks she is. But we did not get that. We really just got like one scene from Peter where he was kind of a dick, and they were like, that's those two, have that for fun.
Yeah, and Petra just existed to like compare Miles and Petra, and then compare Daphne and Petra. It was like, oh, she probably likes to get up early and go kayaking, and then Miles would be like, no, she doesn't. Like, I wanted to do that. And then like, she's a stoner girl, but she's rich and stuff, so she's like cool. And I don't know, it was just like used to just compare the two constantly. And one thing we forgot to mention for those who haven't read the book is that Miles and Daphne live together as roommates. So there's that whole like forced proximity thing going on.
Yep. Post all the breakups, they move in together, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a quote. That summarizes how Daphne feels about
tell us. Yes.
About women. Honestly, it's about Petra, it's about women.
I'm ready.
I personally hate beer. Obviously, Petra loves it. She's a walking fantasy, and I'm a librarian who actually does wear a lot of buttons and tweed. How did no one stop Emily Henry from releasing this to publication? Because that is the most secondhand embarrassment I've ever felt in my life. Petra is over here simply liking a drink that your ex-man happens to like too, and it's not even like a quirky drink. It's fucking beer. Lots of people like beer. And Petra is a walking fantasy. Like, you are manic pixie dream girling Petra more than freaking Peter was. Like, are you in love with Petra? True. It sounds like you're in love with Petra.
She wants to be her. Yeah, and we also find out, like, Petra's villainized, even though we find out late in the book that, like, which is kind of a spoiler, but Miles brings up how she randomly was like, I don't think I want to get married. And he took it as, like, in general or whatever. But she was actually saying, like, I don't want to get married to you.
Yeah.
And he realized that later. So she said that before she went on this bachelor party. So she tried to, like, break it off, essentially. That's how I view it, at least. I don't know if you guys view it differently, but I don't think she should have been villainized the way that, like, Peter was.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing, is, like, I think Peter seems to be, like, the main culprit here. And I will, like, and to be fair, now, if I'm Daphne or Miles and my SO, particularly Daphne, and my SO who I'm supposed to be getting married to cheated on me, you better believe I hate his guts, and I hate whoever that girl is, like, with, you know, I just do. I just hate. However, there's a difference between hating, like, the situation and just, like, hating that someone came in and ruined this versus the very, like, gendered critiques, I think, that she has of Petra, like, subconsciously. They feel very, like, weirdly... they're not supporting the girls, you know? Like, you can hate this person who was part of the reason that your relationship broke up, but probably not because she likes beer, you know? It's just kind of weird.
And I think there's room for, like, Daphne to be insecure about the things that Petra has that Daphne doesn't. Like, I think that's a very normal thing that I know I've compared myself to other women that way. Like, I'm a horrible cook. And so sometimes I'll say to my partner, I'll be like, man, I bet you wish, like, I could cook like a good Southern girl or whatever, right? Like, that's just normal stuff that you're going to feel. Anyone's going to feel, but the tone that it's handled in this book is, like, very not that. Like, it's very pointed and very specific. I don't know what woman hurt Emily Henry. I think she should seek counseling to work through this.
I fear you're correct. Yeah.
It's too much. Like, in Book Lovers, we get a similar attitude towards other women. And I liked it there because I thought it was part of the joke. Like, the joke of Book Lovers is that this cold businesswoman is the other side of the trope. She's the one that gets left for the really sweet girl, whatever. And, like, her playing into that in that book made sense to me because it was all kind of funny. It was like satirical almost. And reading this book, I'm like, wait, is this actually just how Emily Henry views the world? Like, if I misunderstood.
Yes. That was a great way of putting it. Like, Book Lovers is all about the irony of that trope, you know, and, like, turning it on its head. Versus here, we're not playing with a specific trope in that kind of way. It's just how the characters are set up. So it's kind of like, it makes you side-eye a little bit. Yeah. Well, so speaking of this chaotic dynamic, we have Miles. So Miles is, the roommate. He is a 30-something-year-old stoner, Petra's ex. And he makes friends with everyone he meets. Peeta's ex. And so he is her roommate. And much like Daphne, he's there. Like, I'm not particularly, like, impressed with him as a character. I think that I would forget about him, honestly, in, like, a year from now. If you asked me, like, who's the main character of that book, I would probably forget. Sorry.
Yep.
For me,
that's
like,
Miles for me.
I love the idea of Miles, and he had so much potential. Like how he's a stoner, he doesn't really seem to be super like ambitious or anything. He's mid 30s and doesn't necessarily have like a full career. He's working in a winery, which nothing wrong with that, but it's like he had so much potential to be a little bit different. And like his room's super messy. He's not organized. He's super laid back, and I don't know. Like typically, main character males aren't like that. But then for me, like his dialogue made him seem like super immature. Like he seemed like a 22-year-old most of the time. And his banter wasn't funny either. So like Daphne and he just had this really awkward banter throughout the book. And it was like, it didn't make me laugh or smile. It made me like kind of cringe a little bit. And that's how all Miles' dialogue was for me. It was just a little cringy. Plus, he has an anchor tattoo, which I texted this in our group chat, but he has an anchor tattoo, which goes to show that Emily Henry really does write like a millennial, because anchor tattoos are so like 2005.
Yup.
And I'm like, why are we giving him an anchor tattoo in 2024?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he had a lot of potential to kind of give some respect on the chill boys, like the non-girl boss boys. Like we have a lot of men in media that they're like, they make so much money, they're driven, they're accomplished, da da da. And like those men are great, but as like an anxious girly, there's a lot to be said for having a dude that's just chill and like kind of balances out all your like crazy energy. And some of that comes with things like he might be a stoner, he may just be happy being like the winery guy that just gets to like make connections with people. I loved that he was good at socializing and pulling stories out of people at the bars and like that kind of thing. But when it came to translating that like list of characteristics into dialogue that made him come to life, like there was just something missing because he didn't shine on the page like to Daphne. There was a lot of intellectualizing in like the prose for why she liked him. It was very much like outside of dialogue, she would be like, he's just so stable and he, you know, does this and he da 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 da. There was more telling than showing of like a building of relationship. And I think that's why he kind of falls flat, which is a shame because I agree. I loved that he was like a departure from the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what adult human forgets their phone at home? Like, I'm sorry. I know he's supposed to be disorganized, but the first time they were like, oh yeah, he must not have his phone. I was like, that's not possible. That simply doesn't make sense. Like, he's almost 40 years old. He needs to have his phone. It doesn't make sense. It's not a quirk if it's literally a fault. Like, bad. I don't know.
Especially, almost 40. See, that I guess that's where the disconnect is for me, because like when you hear him speak, especially in audiobook form, one, the narrator does this really funny deep voice whenever she's talking as him. And two, he just sounds really like juvenile. And so it's like there's a disconnect, because to me, I'm picturing this like 22 to 25-year-old man still figuring out his life. And then you have this like late 30s man who talks like he's early 20s. And I couldn't get over it. It was something that I did not like.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I kind of felt that way about like his side plot too, where it was like him working through his childhood trauma and like his sister, which I mean we'll get into a little bit more later when we talk about his sister, but like I was like, you're 36, like you haven't done any of this work yet. I know therapy wasn't like top of mind for everyone, but I'm like, I don't know, like we should kind of have made some progress on this by now, surely.
Yeah, and him talking about like how he was still like breaking girls' hearts, being super flighty in relationships, and it's like at almost 40, that would be a major red flag. Right. That wouldn't be like, ooh, I want to chase him. That would be like, girl, run, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's fine. We should talk about his sister and the other side character that we get. We get fed 2 side characters in this book. In my opinion, they're both mid AF, okay? But we get Julia, who is Miles' little sister. She's very little sister. She's super energetic and like pretty bubbly and like very social. She shows up out of the blue and she's just like, I'm here and I'm gonna stay for multiple weeks. Hee hee hee. And that's her. And then we also get Daphne's side character, whose name is Ashley. And Ashley is a fellow librarian. And she's presented to us as like big balls, like takes no shit, so cool. One time a guy made an inappropriate comment to her at work and she asked him if he'd like direction on where to find books about sexual harassment. And you're like, whoa, she's so sick. Ah, awesome.
She's so brave.
She's so brave. Owned.
And she
know,
also,
she's so
but she also
edgy.
like always shows up to work, and she never misses work or anything. So it's like, are you really that edgy if you never take
She's
a day
always
off?
late.
I don't know.
She's always late.
But she's
to
always
work,
late. That's true. She is always
which
late. I
irritates
forgot
me.
about that.
And she's like, and when Daphne brings it up to her, she's like, well, I have a kid. Okay. And does the kid have not like a normal schedule? Like every single day you have to be late because you have a child? Maybe it sounds like you should just start your shift later or have a conversation with your manager. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Right. Not like every day, surely.
Every day.
Surely.
I get it. If the kid pukes and you gotta be late a little bit, okay,
Yeah.
but like that doesn't happen every day. Like, what kind of
It's okay.
excuse was that? I don't know. It was very weird. I didn't care a single bit about either one of these characters. I don't understand why Julia showed up like as a lever for the plot. It was such a boring moment for me. I like blacked out throughout the entire bit because it was just so boring. I hated how stereotypical little sister she was. And then like Ashley, I just borderline disliked her. Like I didn't find her like cool. I found her callous and like cold, and like Daphne, you could probably find like a friend that's actually interested in you anywhere else. Like it doesn't have to be this girl.
Yeah, she's definitely very like blunt, but not in a good way. That's yeah. Julia, for me, like I did kind of like Julia. I thought she just added a little something to the story, like a little sprinkle of something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the audiobook narrators, I keep talking about the narrator, but she's so bad. I'm sorry. But the voicing of her, did you guys hear the voicing of her? It was like, it was so awful.
So annoying.
It made her seem like the most annoying little kid ever. And I'm like, she's 23. She doesn't sound like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just realized there's like 16, 17 years between her and Miles. I just realized that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they have a 13-year gap.
13? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was 38 for some reason.
He's 36. So he was 13 when she was born. But also, okay, this is such a random thing. I am part of an age gap sibling ship. And this is not what it's like. Like, this is not what it looks like. Like, my brother and I are 9 years apart, and, like, we could not understand each other less because we're from completely different, like, generations that talk about things differently. Like, there was definitely a time where I thought he was so cool, and, like, I looked up to him, and then for the rest of, like, our lives, we fought like cat and dogs. Like, it's just not, there's this weird thing where he's like Miles is telling us one time, he's like, yeah, I was 13 and she was born, and I just like, my life changed and blah, blah, blah. What 13-year-old?
Bullshit. Yeah.
What are we talking about? It doesn't make sense. Like, I just need Emily Henry to talk to another human being, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the drama of it, I'm just like, I don't believe this. I just don't. Simply, I don't. And yeah, I don't know. Julia, I have beef with some of the siblings in Emily Henry books, apparently, just because she just, like, is there to, like, bring out the best, like, in her brother or whatever. And I don't know. I was just not here for it. It was like, meh.
No,
yeah.
It was meh.
It was meh.
It was just meh. It was just meh.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just progress a little bit in the story. So Daphne and Miles fall in love. Very shocking. We kind of already touched on that. Sorry if that's a spoiler. They have these little cute Sunday get-togethers where Miles like shows her around town, and they basically pretend to like be dating at some parts just for a little bit of the book. Yeah, for me, the Sunday thing was really cute, like the kayaking and going to the beach and all of that. Like I really enjoyed that stuff. And I thought the idea of their relationship was cute, and I'm all about the fake dating trope. Wish we had more of that. But it just like it was not convincing to me. Like to me, they rebounded real hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was lust. Like I can totally buy that they had a physical attraction to each other. It was like thrown in our faces constantly, right? But as far as like actual love, believable love, no, you guys are just rebounding. It's been like a month since you broke off your engagements. Like being engaged to someone is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, oh yeah, we were dating for 6 months. It's like, no, that's a serious relationship that you're coming out of, and I don't buy it. I do not buy it.
Yeah, like on what basis are you guys like in love? Like what do you know about each other besides you hate each other's ex's guts?
They chortle constantly.
Abby, Miles knows that she drinks chai and not coffee. Okay, that says something.
So true. Wow.
He
pays attention. He's so thoughtful. And she's so cool that she doesn't drink coffee either, you know?
Right.
No beer,
That's
no coffee.
So true. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. She's different. She's not like the rest
just
of
water
us
and chai tea. She's
women,
hydrated.
Addicted.
We could never.
Yeah. No.
I certainly could never. So, you know, maybe she is. Maybe she's not like the other girls for real, because that cannot be me.
Frankly.
She is.
Yeah. I don't know. I too yearn for more fake dating scenarios. Like, again, I feel like we've said this for like a couple books now that have had the fake dating trope, but it felt like it was just said that we're fake dating, and then like we get none of the like classic scenes that are like what make fake dating good. Like there was no we have some situations in which they kiss to keep up the premise that it's fake dating, except that the motivation is incorrect. Because what's good about fake dating is that the two parties are uncomfortable and don't want to do it, and they're like asked to do it, or it's put upon them to do it. But in the scenarios that we get, they do it out of spite. So like, this is gonna sound weird, but there's almost like too much consent for the fake dating trope to like be to operate the way that it's supposed to. Like there's not enough discomfort.
And I hated how they went straight to like full on making out in like these public places. I'm like, you can't. What happened to holding hands or like giving a side hug? Like,
what happened to hello?
What happened to hello? Kaylee's one-liner from every episode from now on. What happened to hello?
What happened so to true hello? Though. Like they just full on make out in this parking lot, and I'm like, who does that? No. In what world?
No. And I thought, okay,
right.
so
at least pretend like you don't want to.
Right. Like have a little bit of like conflict around it or something. Like, I don't know. Their moments were cute. I agree the Sundays were cute. I did black out a little bit because they were pretty cliche. Like kayaking day, push in the water, like, okay, I know how this goes sort of thing. I found the Saturday reading thing to be intensely embarrassing for me to read, because I too was like, why are they so amazed that she can do a funny voice? Like that was, and then her response is like, well, I've been reading since I was 3 or something. What does that have to do with making voices and accents? I was so intensely embarrassed by every reaction that people had to her reading aloud to children. Like I could not let myself enjoy the moment because I was just like, oh my God, like this cannot be real.
Dude, that's true. They were pretending this is like an Emmy-winning performance, and I was like, "Girl,
that's true.
She's reading a book out loud."
It was probably like the narrator of this audiobook. Like those are probably the voices that she's doing.
And like she's reading children's books. Like she's not reading like literature where she's like has to weep to perform like whatever. Like it's like the napping house where everyone is sleeping. Like what could possibly be happening? I don't know.
Right. Like, I bet we could pull off a Peppa Pig. We could do
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I could make it happen.
literally.
You know? Mickey Mouse on command.
Just a little.
Don't
Mickey
ask me
Mouse.
to, but like I could.
I'm gonna ask you to, Abby.
That will be behind the paywall. You have to subscribe to our Patreon for that content.
Oh, boy, Minnie. There you go.
Abby, you can't give that away.
For free after the Patreon ad? Bro.
You're supposed to clap. Remember, I did a great job. You're supposed to tell me
You
multiple
did
times throughout the book.
such a good job, Abby.
She did such a good job.
You know, I've been reading since I was like a little kid. I also like chai tea if you want to pick up anything for me.
Crazy. Oh my god, she's the most unique
woman
that's ever existed. Okay. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the book. Believe it or not. I will say the ending took me off guard, okay? Petra and Peter actually break up, and they both kind of end up trying to get back together with their original partners. Kind of. I don't really know fully if that was not Daphne. Petra's intention. But she does call Miles immediately and ask him to help her move. But Peter definitely tries to get Daphne back, and he goes to her and he's like, it was a mistake, and you're the only woman worth talking to, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole miscommunication arc that happens because Miles leaves Daphne out to dry. So they argue, they break up for like a second. Daphne decides to take a new job in like a new city. It's a whole thing, and then it gets resolved because it's a rom-com and everything's fine. So for me, I will say I did like the third act the best out of the entire book. I thought it actually had like some really good conflict-driven conversations that were believable from both like each character's POV. It wasn't like with a lot of romances, the third act breakup, you know it's gonna happen, and a lot of the times it feels very cheap and very forced. But this one I felt was pretty believable because I also would break up with Miles if he left me outside work for several hours when he was supposed to pick me up so that he could go help his ex-girlfriend move out of my ex-fiance's house. So I thought that was believable.
He disappeared for like 2 nights.
Yeah, and then left me fudge. Like, but also it made enough sense.
Forgot about the fudge.
Yeah, it made enough sense from Miles's perspective that I was like, I can believe that he would do that and also be just like sorry about it. So I liked that was the third act breakup. I think it's kind of lame that Petra and Peter broke up. I really wanted to go to the wedding and have to fake date at the wedding.
Yes.
Give me the wedding.
Yeah, and also I really wanted this to be like Book Lovers, where it's the other side of the trope. I wanted Petra and Peter to be childhood besties that turn into lovers, and they're just actually meant to be together, and they're like good for each other. And this is just like the aftermath. Like I really enjoy that kind of perspective, and so to have Peter kind of like walk all that back and be like, it was just like a drunk night and I made a mistake and I never thought of her that way, I was like, okay, like then why were you engaged to her like a month after we broke up? Like it was just very sudden and weird and strange,
just unnecessary. Like just like continue through and let Daphne and Miles have a relationship that has literally nothing to do with the two of them. Like just move on from that. I don't know. I also really wanted the wedding scene for sure. I was so ready. Or them like getting ready to do that and then just saying like fuck it and going to do something else on their own. Like I don't know. I just wanted you know, Petra and Peter getting back together is just so random to me and unnecessary. But I did like the rest of the book. I agree. Like the pacing was a lot better. The conflict was better. I liked the third act more than the others for sure.
For me, it was better, but that's not saying much because I don't know. I just didn't really. It wasn't for. I don't know. The book wasn't for me. I'm gonna say politely. But kind of going back to what you were just saying, Abby, because it made me kind of rethink the whole liking the Sunday thing. Because like the Sundays were based on them doing things that they couldn't do when they were dating their previous significant other, like the kayaking thing. it was like all based on Petra not wanting to go kayaking during the sunset or whatever because she didn't want to wake up early. And so I'm kind of even reshaping like how I think of the Sunday thing, because like literally their whole relationship is kind of based on Peter and Petra, which is really like, yeah, I like what you said, Abby, about how they should be able to like have their own relationships separate from Peter Peter and
Always
Petra.
on my mind.
It's their couple name. It works.
It does work.
Oh no.
But I was also really hoping, side note, that I was really hoping that, well, first, I was hoping that Miles and Petra would get back together because I wanted something interesting to happen that, like, threw me off. I wanted to be thrown off the chair. I don't know. And then, like, I was hoping that Daphne would actually take the job in, like, Ohio or Oklahoma, or I don't actually remember where it was, but and move away and just have her own life. Like, and Miles was just like a happy memory that happened, but like
a rebound that needed to be there.
A rebound, yeah. I don't know. I was just hoping for an alternate.
No, I agree, because literally Miles in the beginning of the book, he sets up that he like would consider getting back with Petra.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was going to come back in a more meaningful way, but it didn't really. Like, I don't even know that it really crossed Daphne's mind, but like instantly when I heard like when Peter drops the bomb that Miles was helping Petra move, I was like, oh shit, like they're going to get back together. Like Miles set us up for this. Like I was like, ooh, that was it felt like a great way to plant a seed early on that came back later at like a pivotal time. And then it was like, JK, like he doesn't like her anymore or whatever. And also like the job thing for me, again, I was like, this is Book Lovers all over again, where she's got a new job that requires her to move away from boothing, and like, will she, won't she, like, except even in this book, like it's like 4 pages that really she's considering the job. So like we don't even get a lot of like, I don't know, tension or buildup about her.
Yeah, the stakes aren't high enough.
It's just randomly like sprinkled in throughout the book, and like, yeah. I don't know. I just wanted something else.
It needed to be more. It needed more.
Yeah, we needed more.
We needed more. But that brings us to everyone's favorite part of the pod. The hot takes.
Everyone's favorite part of the pod.
Everyone's favorite part of the pod. Our merch is gonna
as
be
if we haven't already been full of spice.
Hot take,
literally. Yeah. Our merch, if we ever have it, is gonna be like, this book wasn't for me, smiley face, and then everyone's favorite part of the pod. It's things we say all the time. Okay, anyways, I'll start. Okay, so for my hot take, Ashley was annoying, and her being upset over the missed birthday plans was weird and unhinged, controlling, unhealthy. She didn't even bother asking Daphne what happened on the day that made Daphne forget. Oh, you're my supposedly my best friend, and you said you had a really tough day and like just got fully distracted. I don't care. We were supposed to paint my office pink.
And she like tested her too, because she was like, I just wanted to see, like, whatever she said. She was like, I just wanted to see, like, if you would actually show up. And it's like, what?
It's just so manipulative. Toxic. Like, that's just weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so and you didn't actually want to hang out.
No, it was just weird. And, like, it was such a strange side plot, and also such a strange, like, lore dump. Like, I guess we are dealing with people that are in their 30s, and I did criticize Miles for not doing some of this work, but it feels very strange to me to say in conversation, yeah, I was testing you, and like that's a problem that I've had, and like but I was doing it again. Like, I don't know, is this how people talk to each other when you're in your 30s and you've done this? Because it just feels very weird.
If y'all do, please don't. Damn.
It feels like character work.
Especially being in such a new friendship with someone. Like, can you imagine being friends with someone for 1 week or 2 weeks and then this happens? Like, you would be running away.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay.
Maybe
not. And like, even if they had been friends for longer, I'm like, why do you?
Yeah.
Like, could you not just check in on how she's doing? I don't know.
Right.
Crazy thought.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
weird,
it just
weirdo
like
behavior.
Is not that serious. And like, I say that as someone who like My birthdays always suck, and like I always am like disappointed by the end of my birthday because it never like works out correctly. So like I get the concept for Ashley, but also like I don't know, 34 birthdays deep and you're going to react like this is crazy. It's just crazy.
Right, 34 was really that crazy for you. Like that had to be the one that was the best one. Yeah.
Spend some time with your fucking kid or something. Grow up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyways. Down with Ashley. That's my hot take. My pour over is not actually related to this book. I would like to know what the hell is up with Emily Henry's relationship with her mom, because every single book I feel like I'm reading like an intimate diary of her processing that she was a parentified child. Like they're literally the 7 stages of grief, because like in Book Lovers, her mom had died, but she was like processing all this stuff and kind of going through like a grief stage. And then this book, we've reached like an acceptance stage. And I'm just like, I don't know. I would ask when we were going to get like a tell-all book about their relationship, but I feel like we already have it because it's literally every
We
single
have like
fucking
5
book.
of them.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I just need to know like what is your what was up with your dad? He sucked, obviously. But also your mom, like what happened to you, girl? Speak up. Just say it plain. I don't know.
Yeah.
Say your truth.
That's
Speak
a
your
good
truth.
one.
And that's, again, it just gets back to like, yeah. I like that she can write these relationships, but just they feel the same sometimes, all the time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I just need to see something new. But
Yeah, because I really like that, like she has, I feel like some of her best like conflict work is these like parent-child relationships where she has a lot of like tugging and pulling, but it's just that it's the same one over and over again, and I'm like, listen, you have to isolate a little part of your trauma and put it into each book. You don't isolate one trauma and put it into each book. Like it's different parts,
That's a
baby
good point.
girl. Like, please, something else.
a little sprinkle.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And also, frankly, you shouldn't forgive your mom because she fucking sucked. Let's be real. Like, they had an unhealthy relationship. They were emotionally enmeshed. She's the reason that you say you never had, like, a fucking friend. So you accept Ashley's weird-ass friendship that isn't good for you either. Like, this is not something to be like, but she's always there for me when I need it. Of course she is, because you were her spouse growing up. Like, it's not healthy. Stop. I don't know. Anyways.
Mic drop.
Preach, girl.
Mic drop.
I can't. She needs to go to therapy. The end.
Yeah, that's maybe in the next book. We'll see. Probably not.
Please, God, don't reset us. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Okay. I'll go next. I don't know how to follow that up, Maddie, but I'll go next. Hot take. Or do you guys might actually disagree with this? I don't know, but I felt like I put this in my notes actually, but Miles's like sad backstory like wasn't sad enough. Like, don't get me wrong, okay? It wasn't great. It wasn't a good childhood or anything, but there was like this build up for like for why he doesn't talk to his parents anymore, and there was this like thing that happened and Peter mentions it, and it's like everybody's like talking about him, and so you think it's something crazy like he went to prison or something, and then it's just like, I don't know, it just wasn't enough. It was like your typical, to me, I'm saying typical Emily Henry now as if I've read like more than 2 books of hers, but it reminded me of Book Lovers when like there was supposed to be this big reveal at the end and then it wasn't even a reveal, and that's exactly how this felt to me. Like I was like, oh, we're uncovering the secrets from his past, and it's like, it's not even, I don't know, it's not even a big secret. It's something that could have easily come up in like a regular conversation without everybody talking about it. I don't know.
No, I totally agree with you, because also it was given such little space. Like he just blurts it out one day.
Yeah.
And like then they just like move on. I fully thought, I was like, ooh, I bet this is something like really messed up, like because they talk about his first girlfriend, but they don't really talk about why they broke up. And I was like, I bet his dad slept with his girlfriend or something crazy. And then he was like, actually, my mom was mommy issues. Actually, my mom just had like really crazy expectations, and like I left when I turned 18, and you're like, all right, that's true.
You're
true,
like, that
Peter.
sucks, dude, but that's not what we were expecting.
Like, you're 36. It had to be worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
It had to be worse for this effect. For the gossip, like, you're so right, though. Like,
The gossip, yeah.
Peter bringing it up the way that he did, there's no way that Petra was like, yeah, his mom was just like a bully, and Peter was like, oh, I'm writing that down to expose his true character.
And
like,
the way he said it too, he was like, I don't know about this guy, like he doesn't talk to his parents anymore.
Yeah,
he doesn't talk to any of his family, and you're like, ooh, what's the deep dark secret? And then it's nothing.
Yeah, it's
disappointing.
I agree with you.
Okay, my pour over. The only thing I'm still pouring over from this book is the way Daphne, we've already touched on this, but the way Daphne was like so forgiving to everyone around her, like her dad, Peter at the end, she forgives him. And then Sadie, this random character that is like, doesn't even contribute to the story, but like these people that like treat her really terribly. And then she like just one day randomly decides that she's just going to go on a forgiveness train and like forgive everybody, and it's like, girl, you don't have to forgive them, like, or forgive, but like don't forget. And she's just kind of like, everything's cool now, like we're besties. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. And
be toxic, queen.
Right, like, be toxic, because I was actually hyped when she finally, okay, like the conversation that she has with her dad, where he's like, yeah, I told him you were chill about that kind of stuff. I was like, ooh, that was like a good line, because that's the type of shit that type of parent would say, because they don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, that actually ate her up. And then she yelled at him after, and I was here for that. And then in like the epilogue or whatever, it's like, oh, he like visits and we're chill. And it's like, it's not that I'm against forgiveness, but like, I don't know. All the barbs of like the moment and like being proud of her character growth like got wiped away, because it just turned out that like she said that and they were chill afterwards, and like you said, she never holds anyone accountable for anything they do to her.
Especially being 34, like after 34 years of your dad treating you like horribly, you're just gonna one day like pretend it never happened. And like same with Sadie, like this girl had stopped being her friend for a long time, and she just one day forgives her without even Sadie like reaching out to her or anything. And it's not believable. Like,
she doesn't even, I think, really hold Miles accountable. I mean, they have like that one argument, but then like when he shows up at the library thing because he tried to get her dad to come back the one day, like, she's all good now. And I'm like, I still think like, maybe I'm just like a bitch, but like I still have a problem with where his priorities were in that moment. Like, I don't really care.
And how he says he still cares about Petra, and it's like, I would not be okay with.
No, because I'm not about to have another man with Petra as your best friend. Right. Like, no.
Right. Be mad about it. Like, you don't have to let that fly.
For once. I don't know. Crazy.
Well, my hot take, I kind of already talked about it, but it's just my continued hate for the sibling characters in these books. Just that Miles' sister, Julia, is just annoying. I know it's just like she's sweet and funny, and like their dynamic is fun, and she makes him better and pushes him out of his comfort zone or whatever the fuck. But I don't care. Also, for some reason, side note, I like pictured Jenna Ortega as like, I don't know why, but I don't know, just very like Gen Z, like younger Gen Z. I don't know.
Yeah.
That I had a very specific look in my head, but it just was not hitting for me. So. Funny story. This is the same hot take that I had. We had to throw it in there somewhere. But this is the same hot take I had for book lovers too. So I just stay shitting on all the siblings. I don't know why, but and then my pour over is the wedding dress scene. Dude, I hated that scene so bad. And not just for like the whole pockets thing, but like when they're like trying to hype her up to put it on. I'm like, why the fuck would she put it on, man? She's sad. Let her, like, she just called off a wedding. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're like, put it on. And they're like knocking on the door, and you think that they're trying to get her to come out and stuff, like in her dress. And I don't know, it just felt way too pushy. Like,
Yeah,
y'all should told her to burn that thing, burn that shit.
Exactly
Have one of those,
what
like,
I was gonna say.
yeah,
That's what that
have one
scene
of
should
those
have
dress
been.
burning parties.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
you're
real, for real.
right.
I was like,
Ashley,
don't make her wear it, y'all. Come
bad
on.
bitch Ashley, take no shit Ashley, but she's over here put on the dress.
Bullshit.
I was even ready
Burn
for
it.
like when she talks about like putting on the dress and her mom loving the dress or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I was ready to go down like an angsty path, but I had to write it myself because I had to be like, oh my God, like when you find the dress, but then you can no longer wear that dress because like you either get married and divorced or like the wedding gets called off. You can't use the same dress. Like, what if you never find that like the dress again? Like you have to find a different the dress. Like I was ready for some kind of angst about that of like, I did this the way that I wanted to do this and I picked all the things and now I'm going to have to like at some point go through like and find a different version of myself, you know, to like not be tainted by
No,
this.
there was
But
a way to talk about it, but instead it was just like, go put it on, ha. And for what? And oh, it has pockets, just as a side note. Like,
and Miles sees her in the dress
shut up.
because of course he does. Like,
and he's like, you look beautiful.
It's my wedding dress.
It's a wedding dress. And it's like, what? Am I wearing like a trash bag? Like, yeah, duh. She probably looks great. It's also the wedding dress that didn't get used, so yeah.
And then the zipper
that scene made me mad.
Okay, it did make me crack up, but not in the way that Emily Henry intended when like she's like trying to get it unzipped or whatever, and she describes coming out as like she's in like a full panic attack, like sweating, freaking out. I'm like, it's a dress. Like it's not gonna.
I was thinking, cut it off. Like you're never gonna wear it again. Just
get some scissors. Like cut that shit.
It was
like
so
all the more
funny.
reason to destroy that shit. Yeah. Clearly it has a bad vibe. Just I
don't know. Crazy.
Like look.
To like your point, Abby, like the way that should have happened is she should have started having a panic attack because she was in like a trauma-inducing dress thinking about the future that she never had, and then Miles has to help her out of it or something like that. Like not just the zipper being stuck and she has a panic attack because she can't unzip it. Like, bro, relax.
Right, like it's a big moment. I can understand the it being emotional, but just the whole way the scene was handled is just like it was a miss. It was a miss for me. So still thinking about that. Still fuming. Yeah.
Haunted.
Fuming.
Fuming.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about our ratings and favorite parts, if any. So my rating was a solid, I was going to say 3, but I realized I don't think I liked any of this book. I think I was like, I don't know why I put a 3. Like, I'm going to put a 2.5. I'm going to say 2.5.
Speak your truth, babe.
That's right. We always end up lowering the ratings by this point in the conversation.
We do, because we talk about it and we have nothing good to say. And it's like, why did I give this book a above average rating?
Yeah.
Anyway, favorite part. I don't really have a specific favorite part. I mentioned this earlier, but I liked the Sunday thing. But yeah, nothing really stood out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the same for me. I put a 3 mainly because, like, it was readable. It was like, I like the way Emily Henry writes. Like, I think she writes well. Like, I get her characters and the vibes, but I also think, like, I probably would have to drop it to, like, a 2.5 because the dialogue was bad, the banter was bad, the romantic interactions were not believable. Like, the plot wasn't interesting until Act 3. Like, there's just too much now that we've talked about it that I'm like, yeah, I'm giving Emily Henry a 3, but this book is probably like a 2.5 realistically. But for my favorite part, honestly, the breakup argument between Miles and Daphne was like the first time I really felt engaged in the story and like something was happening. So that was like the standout moment for me. But it's not saying much, honestly.
Yeah, same. Originally put 3 out of 5. probably lower now. And I like that you differentiate between rating Emily Henry and the book, because I think the reason why I'm hesitant to go lower is because I do really like Emily Henry, and I think that like her stuff is fun. But this one just was probably my least fave. Just wasn't for me. So yeah, 2.5 out of 5. Favorite part, yeah, I literally in my notes was like, maybe when he takes her to his beach or whatever. Like I was like, I think he does that. I think that's a thing. Yeah. I have parts that are like chill reads, but I don't have one that like stands out as a fave. So sorry. No,
yeah,
no highlight. No highlight.
Maybe if the story was actually funny, we would have had more favorite parts.
What I don't get,
this is
my final thought, okay? I don't get how book lovers can be so funny constantly. It's just like banter, banter, banter. And then to go so the opposite direction where they're so unfunny, and I'm like, how do you, I don't know. How are they so different like that? But the characters, like we've already mentioned, are the same, but like the banter was so awful.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I really, this is the kind of thing that makes me think, like, because Emily Henry is one person that can only come up with so many scenarios, right? And it's like, ever since the one book popped off, she's been churning them out, probably because of like the publishing deal. And at a certain point, you're gonna run out of stuff to say, and you need to like recharge. And I think this is like, I hope this is the last book that she needed to write for this like stint of her publishing contract or whatever, if that's what it was, so that she can take a break and just kind of like recharge and get some fresh ideas and like explore some different concepts, because it really felt phoned in compared to Book Lovers, which was so funny. And it's like, I don't know if she has anything else to give right now, and we need to let her rest.
That's true.
That's true.
Let Emily Henry rest.
Let her rest.
Hashtag.
Yes, give her a break. Well, and like we talked about earlier, I think that Book Lovers works so well because it's playing on like a very specific trope, and the entire story calls back to like this sort of inversion of this trope. And this one like has like a funny concept of like, the roommates with the exes, but you're not really, it doesn't have the same kind of irony of pulling back to this like one trope, which was like such a smart move and set up like the humor really well. Yeah. I go on vacay, Miss Emily Henry. We love you.
Free
we
Emily
we
Henry.
just want some new stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Free her.
All right. Well, if everyone has said their piece, that's all the tea that we have on Funny Story. Next time, we're going to be spilling the tea on The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, who is my bestie. I was stan Leigh Bardugo, okay? So I hope we really like The Familiar. You can also stay up to date with the latest tea on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube by following us at Spill the Novel Tea on all of the things. And while you're there, please let us know, did this book live up to the hype for you? What's your hot take? Are you signing on to our petition to free Emily Henry? We need your support in these trying times.
Please.
Please. We will see you next time.
Bye.